Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adisanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, the Minister for the Interior imposes dusk to dawn curfew after violent clashes at Gulumpe in the Kintampo North constituent, I beg your pardon, in Kintampo North, which has left at least 4 persons with gunshot wounds and hundreds of residents fleeing the area. Also coming up, so far, so excellent, says the majority leader as he heaps praises on the current administration's performance, even as the minority accuse the government of failing on jobs and a fight against illegal mining. And later in the bulletin, we'll stay in Parliament because Speaker of the House has sworn in 2 MPs and refer the nomination of Chief Justice Designate Paul Bafuboni to the Appointments Committee for vetting. And later, we take you to the Western region where President Mahama is performing a sword-cutting ceremony for the dualization of the Takoradi to Cape Coast Road. Details of all of these and more coming up within the next 1 hour. Before that, though, let's bring you the news summaries.
Thank you very much, Martin. And we begin with Parliament because Professor Asiedu-Dartey and Bernard Bediako were sworn in as MPs for Tamale Central and Akwitia respectively today as the House reconvened. Now, the Speaker, speaking in his statement, urged the 2 new MPs to study the orders of Parliament and the Constitution to help them effectively discharge their duties. Still in Parliament, the Minority Leader Alexander Penyo-Marking has said that the reports of the Pomang Committee that recommends the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokunu from office remains a secret document. He says the minority shall not relent on their demand for a copy. Former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, hosted a breakfast meeting with the 5 presidential aspirants of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, at his private residence in Ima, Accra. Now, the meeting, according to a statement from his office, was aimed at fostering unity and camaraderie among the aspirants as the party prepares for its presidential primary slated for January 31, 2026. We have this on our website, 3news.com. Do well to visit there. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much for those news summaries. Let's settle for the details of the stories now. And we are starting from very disturbing story of some unfortunate shooting incidents that seem to have injured a number of people and even left some dead. So we are starting from the Kintampo North municipality, where the Minister for the Interior has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew on Gulumpe Township and its environs in the Kintampo North municipality of the Bono East region following violent clashes between 2 youth factions. At least 4 persons reportedly sustained gunshot wounds in the confrontation, causing hundreds of residents, mostly women and children, to flee the community. A statement signed by the Interior Minister Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak announced a curfew which takes effect from today, Tuesday, the 21st of October 2025, and will run from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily until further notice. The statement further announced a total ban on the carrying of firearms, ammunition, or offensive weapons, warning that anyone found in possession of items of this nature would be arrested and prosecuted. It also prohibited the wearing of war regalia and restricted motorbike movement, cautioning that no 2 or more persons should be seen riding together. The Bono East regional correspondent Belinda Tete reports that there is currently heavy security in the area. They have been deployed to at least try and maintain some level of law and order. She's joined us on phone for an update on the current situation. Belinda, thank you for joining us. So what exactly triggered this current conflict that we are talking about?
Right. So I was informed by the regional police command that on Sunday evening, they were informed that some shootings or some misunderstanding was ongoing at the Gulumpe community. And so they had to get there. When they got there, what triggered the misunderstanding was that they were loading charcoal in the community. So they mostly load these big trucks, come there to load charcoal. And so there are guys who load these charcoals. And in order to load, so there was one section that wanted to load, and other sections said, oh, they are the ones who normally load, so allow us to load. So that was basically what started the misunderstanding. And in the heat of the moment, the one guy was choked with a seizure. And the person got unconscious. They had to rush him to the hospital on Sunday night. And he was taken care of. As it stands now, he's a bit okay. But then, in a form to retaliate from the other group, yesterday the police went there to try and calm them down. But this dawn, the other faction trooped in to retaliate, and they shot gunfire and wounded 3 people. In addition to the first person who was shot with a seizure. So a total number of 4 people are currently injured, severely injured, and have been taken to the hospital, who are being taken care of. As I speak to you, there's a fraction of police, security personnel, both army, police, and the BNI who are there to make sure that calm restores in the community.
Right. So if I understand what you're saying, 3 persons sustained gunshot wounds, and a 4th person was stabbed with a scissors. That's it.
A scissors.
Right. All right. And so what is their current situation? I'm sure they are receiving treatment. Is that it, or do we know what exactly their condition is now?
Yes, we just went to the hospital where those who sustained gun wounds were taking treatment at the King Tampo Hospital. They are currently undergoing treatment, and I can tell you that they're not unconscious. They are okay. They are responding to treatment as it stands now. And we also had the Bupera come in and say a word to the people to make them understand the importance of peace and peaceful coexistence. So as it stands now, they've also given their word that they are not going to kill each other, or they are not going to use firearms or retaliate in an irresponsible manner. They have given their word. And also, we also had the Ministry of Interior imposing curfew on them until further notice. So as it stands now, they're just hoping that they are going to maintain the calm so that the curfew will be raised on them.
Will be lifted hopefully soon. All right, and talk to us about those who fled the town. We are told that following the confrontation, some people ran away to seek refuge elsewhere. Yes. What do we know about that?
Yes, so even this morning when I got to the town, people were still moving out of the town. Especially most of the people who moved out are women and children. So most of these people cannot retaliate or fight back when something happens. So then they decide to move to neighboring countries, neighboring communities. Some have moved to Kintampo, some have moved to Tichiman, and others have moved to the Tamale area to seek shelter until calm is restored totally before they can come back. But the men are still there. Okay. If you go to Golumpe as it stands now, the town is almost a ghost town. All shops are shut down. The market is empty. Nothing economic is going on there. Because most of the people who engage in these economic activities have decided to move out.
Right.
It's just the men who are fighting themselves.
We actually can see these descriptions you are giving us on our Facebook page. So for those of you who are listening to us, if you log on to Facebook and you look for 3FM 92.7, you can actually see the videos and pictures from the community, the current situation in terms of the arrival of security personnel there, how empty a number of the sheds and homes and stalls are looking, the empty streets, and the fact that there is quite heavy security presence in the area. So it's interesting the description you are giving us, Belinda. Now, in conclusion, how this is not this is not a recurring fight, is it? This is more like in the last decade or so. This is the first time some of us are hearing about this kind of confrontation between two youth groups. But generally, is this something that has existed in time past, or it's actually quite new even to the residents in this area?
Oh, no. Okay. So in this very area in Bulumpe, this is the first time something like this is happening. And so it's quite a worry to traditional leaders and also the security persons who moved to make sure that they restore peace, because Bulumpe area is not known for that. And the people who reside there have resided there for a very long time, and they've been able to live together. Even though it's not the same tribe, they've been able to live together. And so it's quite a worry that recently something that is not supposed to erupt into a serious issue is bringing these issues out. And so they are actually worrying that maybe there are underlying issues other than what led to the current situation we are viewing now. And so the Bupera gave his word that he's going to step in to make sure that whatever it is, whether there's an underlying issue or whatever it is that is erupting this conflict, would be solved and peace can be restored as it used to be.
Right, Belinda, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Belinda Tete is our Bono East regional correspondent, updating us on the unfortunate situation which has led to the shooting of 3 individuals and the stabbing of 1 other. Fortunately, no casualties have been recorded, but the situation has led to the entirety of the township in Gulumpe, almost a ghost town. And we have seen, like I indicated, if you're watching us on Facebook, you would also see the videos of how empty the town is looking at the moment, and the fact that there is quite heavy security presence there. And it is on the back of the confrontation or the clashes that the Interior Minister imposed curfew on the area, a 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. That is quite intense. It means that between now, as we are speaking, people should be in their homes. Nobody should be seen on the streets or on motorbikes. Nobody should be seen wearing war regalia, as the statement from the Interior Ministry has declared. It means that the security officers will be in the township for some time until normalcy returns. So Belinda has just given us those updates. Let's speak to security consultant. And before we do that, let's listen to the regional police commander, who has also been speaking on this particular development and how they intend to ensure that it does not escalate.
That was last Sunday night that we had an information that there were some guys who were supposed to look charcoal, and a misunderstanding ensued between them, and then the Gonja man stabbed the Konkoma man with scissors. So he was taken to hospital, and the victims' people also went to mobilize themselves and come and attack the other side. So that was what happened.
Yesterday, Monday, we were here with them to engage them, both factions. We did so, and they responded positively.
Thinking that, they are okay and they've understood themselves and nothing will happen again. Just this dawn, we just had information again that, they've sparked. Somebody was going to the bush and he was attacked by a faction of the group. So that is why we are here. You see us engaging them, talking to them and advising them.
And you heard the voice of the regional commander, Bono East regional commander, calling for calm, indicating that they are already started moves to engage the factions, the leadership of the 2 youth groups who started firing at each other following the disagreement over who can load trucks of charcoal from the area. Let's speak to security consultant Richard Kumado, who has joined us on the phone lines now. Mr. Kumado, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
You're welcome, Martin.
This is, for some of us in the Bono East region, in and around the Kintampo area. This is the first time we are hearing of some of these kinds of disturbances. But I think the more troubling aspect of it is how quickly some of these youth groups have guns on them, the availability of weapons, where immediately something comes up, people just pull out their weapons and start shooting. But generally, what are your thoughts on it and the quick response of an imposition of curfew on them?
I was a bit surprised. The reason for the fight is a bit trivial, and the action of our brothers using guns for attack and for defensive purposes is also a bit worrying. They have the tendency of using guns because all over the country, people have used guns and they have not been apprehended and they have not been prosecuted. So it's rationalizing bad behavior and promoting antisocial tendencies in society. And that is why they will have the impetus to use a gun, knowing very well that nothing will happen to them. The third point is that I'm happy there's curfew, and I'm happy that law enforcement officers will now be there, not trusting them that they will behave themselves. If we don't get to the bottom of it and hold people accountable, then we are adding up to many of the cases that has happened. People use guns and they get away with it because it's a criminal offense. Crimes would need to be punished.
We know that usually when these things happen, when people in a community fight each other, we quickly look at the police. But I think the role of traditional leaders and opinion leaders in some of these communities cannot be overemphasized. How can we deal with some of these issues before they escalate?
Definitely, not just the traditional rulers, but community leaders, for which the leaders of this group, if it's a recognized group, the leaders will have to be held accountable, and they will have to play a key role in making sure that they live peacefully among themselves and within the jurisdiction where they find themselves. What has happened now have added their area onto the red alert locations across Ghana, and any other things that might go there freely, people will think twice again, and people will say, are we safe investing in this area, or are we safe doing ABC in this area, which is also a major problem which is going to affect them economically. So not just the traditional leaders, but the group leaders and all other persons that will help to bring peace to the area is important. But above all, if you don't punish people who flout the law using weapons and very sophisticated nature of it, you are creating the premises for others to do same. And the devastation nature of some of these shootings is becoming a major burdensome on our national security architecture.
My last two questions before you take leave of us, Mr. Kumado, and then so we'll look at the concern about the proliferation or how easily available these weapons are in and around such communities. Is it that we are missing something? How do these arms get even as far as you would have thought that if anything at all, it will be in the big cities? But as far as, the Bono East region in areas in and around those places, people have these kinds of guns. They are not locally manufactured from what we are hearing. So what are we missing for which reason some of these guns are easily able to get into people's hands?
What we are not doing right, what we are missing. Okay, what we are missing is that it becomes easier for people to access guns. Accessibility to weapons in our country is very high, and there are no strict measures to it. So even though the small arms are putting in measures to ensure that people stop using guns to attack themselves, it is so easy for people to lay hands on arms. And if you remember what is happening in America and some other places where gun violence has become a predominant feature, that is what we are heading towards to. That the least instant, then somebody has a gun and somebody pull it out. As to whether these guns are even registered or not is for another day. But Martin, it's too easy for people to access the purchasing of guns and to own guns in this country. And it is something we are missing. It is something we need to look at it again.
Right. And finally, what kind of outcome are you looking forward to seeing? You have raised concern about this might also be part of the tall list of unsolved gun violence in the country. But for this particular one, a curfew has been imposed. The regional the regional police commander says investigations are ongoing. What kind of outcome are you looking forward to where you'd say that this is more concrete, this is a decisive action that has been taken?
in no particular order, resolve the underlying factors which triggered this particular confrontation, because the reason they are giving is a little bit trivial. Then number two, apprehend the perpetrators and prosecute them, and you'll be fine. If you don't do it, others will retaliate. It could be a day, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4 weeks or 1 month. They have scars and they have pains and they have seen blood. They will retaliate. So apprehend the criminals and get them prosecuted. And make sure you do silent diplomacy to resolve issue about who loads charcoal, who doesn't load charcoal. And you'll be fine.
Mr. Kumado, thank you so much for your time as always. Richard Kumado is a fraud and security consultant, and helping us at least look at the security angle of today's concern coming in from Gulumpe in the Bono East region, where a curfew has been imposed from 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. And there is heavy police and military presence, I should say. And this follows the shooting of 3 people have actually been shot and 1 stabbed with scissors. And this is because the trucks that come there to pick charcoal, boys that load these trucks had a disagreement over who should load the truck of the truck with the charcoal, and on the back of it, it became quite heated, and then people pulled out guns and started shooting at each other. 4 people have been injured, 3 of them in hospital. We are told 1 with a scissors wound. So we are seeing or keeping very close tabs on how all of this is playing out, because a curfew has been imposed and there's still enough police presence. Our reporter tells us that relative calm has been restored. However, some people have fled the town and others are also seeking shelter elsewhere, hoping that sanity returns and relative calm also returns to the area. So we'll see how all of this plays out in the coming days. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're going on to some other stories now, straight to the House of Parliament, because after almost 3 months, I should say, the House of Parliament, the House of Lawmaking, resumed work today following an earlier postponement. So let's go to Parliament and find out how the House has been working since they resumed. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has referred the nomination of Justice Paul Bafuboni as Chief Justice to the Appointments Committee for vetting and recommendation. The referral follows the submission of his name to Parliament by President John Mahama for consideration and approval in line with Article 1441 of the 1992 Constitution. The Speaker has directed the committee to expedite its work and present its report to the plenary for a final decision. So let's listen to the Speaker, and then we'll take you through some of the other key issues that have happened in Parliament in the last 4 to 5 hours since they resumed from their long break.
Right Honorable Speaker, nomination of Chief Justice. Following consultations with the Council of State, conveyed by its letter dated 14th October 2025, and in accordance with Article 144, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, I have the honor to respectfully submit for the approval of Parliament the nomination of Justice Paul Bafuboni as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Justice Bafuboni has distinguished himself through unwavering integrity, sound judicial temperament, and a deep commitment to the rule of law. His long and meritorious service on the Supreme Court has been characterized by professionalism, fairness, and a passion for justice. He possesses the necessary leadership, administrative competence, and vision to advance ongoing reforms within Ghana's justice system and to further strengthen public confidence in the judiciary. Attached are the nominees' curriculum vitae and supporting documents to facilitate the vetting process. I trust that Parliament will expedite the approval process in accordance with constitutional requirements. Please accept, Mr. Speaker, the assurances of my highest regard. John Dramani Mahama, signed. Honorable members, I accordingly proceed to refer the said nomination to the appropriate committee, and that is the Appointments Committee, to do the public hearing and submit a report to the House for consideration. As you know by our rules, other members of Parliament are permitted to attend the sittings of the committee, in fact, all committees. It's just that you don't have the right of vote, but you can attend to assist your colleagues. We trust that this will be done in accordance with the laws of this country. And at the end of the day, please, we'll give you ample time for us to assist His Excellency to make sure that the confidence in the arms of government are restored and enhanced.
And that is the Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Kingsford Sumona Bagbin. And still in Parliament, though, Justice Bafo-Boni has been the acting Chief Justice since April this year, following the subsequent removal of Justice Gertrude Tokono for stated misbehavior. He is currently the most senior judge on the Supreme Court bench, having been appointed to the bench in June 2008 by former President John Agyekum Kufuor. If approved, Justice Bafo-Boni will officially assume leadership of Ghana's judiciary at a crucial time following the dramatic exit of his predecessor and growing calls for institutional reform. Meanwhile, the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga is the majority leader on the NDC side, says that government has performed incredibly well in the delivery of its mandate since it assumed office in January this year, saying that there has been excellent deliveries across energy and education sectors, as well as servicing of Ghana's debts. According to him, the majority of Ghanaians now believe government is in the right direction based on recent polls. He delivered a statement to welcome members of Parliament from recess on Tuesday. So let's listen to Mahama Ayariga speaking to his colleagues in Parliament.
On course, notably the big push in road infrastructure is on course. So far, so excellent. Mr. Speaker, Info Analytics did some polls released on July 1st, 2025, and they revealed that 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is on the right track. 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is on the right track. So far, so excellent. As of September 2025, Global Info Analytics Survey found 58% believed the government was doing enough to fight against corruption, and 53% said corruption had improved. So far, so excellent. A similar report of Info Analytics in 2024 revealed that 65% of Ghanaians believe that the country was heading in a wrong direction. There is a clear turnaround in how Ghanaians perceive their country and their government now. We must stay the course in this direction, and the work of this meeting of Parliament must keep the pressure on our executive arm of government to keep delivering. In this regard, I want to assure Ghanaians that the overwhelming NDC majority will not treat our counterparts in the executive with kid gloves. We will continue to demand performance and delivery of promises made in our manifesto. Bipartisanship shall be our hallmark, so we will tolerate our minuscule minority and heed sound and genuine criticism. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget meeting. We will be receiving the 2026 budget statement in due course, but the signs of a very positive development are already clear. 95% of Ghanaians in a survey conducted by professional service firm PwC in July 2025 believe the country's macroeconomic performance in the first half of the year has met or exceeded expectations. 95% of Ghanaians believe that our macroeconomic performance, yes, our macroeconomic performance has met or exceeded expectations. Indeed, even members of the MPP cannot deny the fact that the indicators are looking very, very good. So far, so excellent. Mr. Speaker, we in the NDC are governing well. The president of Imani, Franklin Kujo, on July 5th, 2025, strongly endorsed President John Dramani Mahamed's recent decision to scrap fuel allowances and allocations for all political appointees, describing it as a wonderful initiative. So many wonderful initiatives that should be codified into law to prevent future reversals. So far, so excellent. On October 10th, 2025, October 10th, 2025, the IMF stated that Ghana's economy is rebounding faster than anticipated.
Well, clearly, if you to complete that statement, it says that the IMF said that Ghana's economy was rebounding faster than expected or anticipated. So those were the words of Mahama Ayariga, who is the majority leader in Parliament, and just gave his opening thoughts and welcome address, more or less, to the members of Parliament. So let's now speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Christian Yali, who has been sitting through proceedings right from the afternoon when the MPs or proceedings began. Mr. Yali, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening. Thank you, Martin.
So what's happening at the moment? We know that the Speaker took leave and the second Deputy Speaker is leading, or first Deputy Speaker, I should say, is leading proceedings. But give us a general idea what's been happening since Parliament resumed.
In fact, Martin, we've had the swearing in of the two new MPs joining the majority bench, which now has given them even a more overwhelming control of the House, giving them a total of 189 members, as against the 87 of the minority, which has lost one seat. Apart from that, indeed, the Speaker's communication of the referral of the appointment of Paul Bafuboni as Chief Justice to the Appointment Committee, and even the observance of a moment of silence for the helicopter crash, have been some of the issues that have come up over the period. Currently, the House has adjourned session to tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. What it means is that the proposal by the Business Committee to shift the sitting time from 2 p.m. to 10 a.m. is one that is yet to be agreed upon, because the House is yet to come to a resolution on that particular proposal. But it is one that so far has been welcomed by members on both sides, especially with concerns about their own health and as well the security of this, and even how effective their mandate would be well, executed during this session, which is relatively going to be shorter because of the Christmas break that is just around the corner, and also looking at the load of work that they have to do with the 2026 budget approval, as well as the estimate for the ministries, departments, as well as agencies. And so that has been the general mood today. You earlier played what transpired concerning the opening remarks by both leaders, with the majority leader largely sounding the praises of government, that across sectors, this government has done incredibly well but the minority rather seeing it to be the other way around, especially with issues of unemployment still on the high, and also the issue of mass revocation of appointment, and that as well of the removal of the Chief Justice, which the minority leader sees to be very unfortunate. And even that one about the U.S.-Ghana deportation deal, which he wants to be brought before Parliament for ratification and proper scrutiny, which the majority leader considers as something that would likely be done.
Right. Christian, so, I mean, today's proceedings have ended. Tomorrow we continue. Do we know what date the Appointments Committee would be inviting the Chief Justice nominee to appear before them?
So that is yet to be determined. Once the Speaker has read the formal communication from the President, now referred it to them for consideration, it means that the committee would have to meet, first of all, to schedule an appropriate time to call the nominated CJ for vetting. But we know that there is that pending issue in court where we have Getro Justice appealing to the High Court to stop the nomination of Paul Mafuboni as Chief Justice and even the vetting thereof. And so it is a bit interesting, with many already looking forward to how this is going to play out, because when the former CJ has already petitioned the court or filed a suit stopping his appointment and vetting, and now the Speaker goes ahead to refer his nomination to the Appointment Committee for action, then it gives an interesting twist to all of this story. But Parliament, as it were, and the Appointment Committee, as it were, will just go ahead to perform its function until maybe the court decides otherwise. Then we see how it unfolds.
Right. In conclusion, and maybe on a lighter note, talk to us about the newly refurbished Parliament. We saw images before the members of Parliament entered. It's looking fresh. What went on during recess? Do we know?
Exactly. During the recess, we know that the Speaker, for instance, even like a week to resumption, had paid a courtesy visit to the Asantehene to condole with the family over the passing of the Queen Mother. And during that moment, and Martin, you would also know that, I mean, the former cloth that was used to adorn the interior of the chamber, per history, and as we know, was actually donated by the Asantehene. And so upon that visit to him, that appeal was made that, see, that one he donated some years and decades ago, it's fading out and it's old. And so the Asantehene agreed and donated a fresh intake cloth for both sides, just behind where the Speaker usually sits. And so that has been done. And you look inside the chamber itself, you realize that all the chairs have been changed from the yellowish one to black. And you had the leaders usually using the black seats. This time around, they are using the brown seats. And so when you enter the chamber, you really see that everything, like someone would say, all new, all fresh, all new, all beautiful. And so that has been the new look inside the chamber. And actually, when you talk to some of the members, it is actually a good development for them. Yeah. But some critics have raised concerns about it. There are those that, on a lighter note, ask that, for instance, the old ones, where do we send them to? What do we use them for? Okay. Those are some of the comments that, when you check even the reactions to the stories, people are raising.
Are asking. Okay, Christian Yali, thank you so much for that report from Parliament. He is our parliamentary correspondent, updating us on what today's proceedings were like this afternoon when the House reconvened after about a 2 to 3 months recess. Earlier, he talked about how the numbers have changed quite dramatically. The NDC majority have actually 2 extra seats in addition, increasing their number quite significantly. Let's listen to what the Speaker said. Then we'll speak to Samir Bing, generally on his thoughts and expectations ahead of, what we should be expecting before this Parliament rises again later in December. But this is what Speaker Bagbin has been saying when he swore in the 2 MPs.
I,
Asiedu
having been elected a member of Parliament, do
having been elected of a member of Parliament, do,
in the name of the Almighty God, swear,
in the name of the Almighty God, swear,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana,
as by law established,
as by law established,
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana,
and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana,
and that I will faithfully
and
conscientiously discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, so 2 new MPs freshly minted have been added to the NDC side. Sami Obeng is the Executive Director of the Parliamentary Network Africa. Sami, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
What were your expectations ahead of the resumption of Parliament today, considering the fact that the majority has actually increased and the minority decreased more or less? What were you thinking as they were getting ready to resume?
Well, I think it's a fairly regular resumption. The elections of the 2 members of Parliament to replace the members of Parliament who had passed had happened several weeks ago, and so we knew that it was just a matter of Parliament coming back to have them, sworn in. And so those processes were purely ceremonial, and we all knew that the number dynamics had changed the way they currently are. My expectations at the beginning of the sitting today was that it was going to be the usual ceremony of the first sitting day of a new meeting, where there would be speeches and welcome remarks and a few jabs here and there. And yes, those were not I was not disappointed in those. Those were exactly what were said today in Parliament. By and large, we've seen what the business statement is also looking like by way of what Parliament is expected to look into for this week. It makes for an interesting bouquet of items. And we're hoping that the Parliament will kick off quite strongly, because it has barely a couple of weeks between now and the Yuletide to go back on a recess. And there's lots of work that still needs to be done.
Right, and talking about the work that needs to be done, we know budget reading is expected. We also know that Chief Justice is going to be vetted. Again, there are key bills this government is expected to bring before the House. Do you also get the sense that the majority are actually going according to their word, that they would still do business with the minority side and not bulldoze their way through anytime some of these issues come up? The body language, the posturing, the commentary of the majority side vis-a-vis what the minority side have been saying, and your general observation, would it be politics as usual, the acrimonious bits and pieces we saw before the recess, or you are expecting something different?
The sweetness of the pudding will be in the eating, and once Parliament is back, we will look at how these things pan out. However, if we were to use the 2 earlier meetings of Parliament, the first meeting at the beginning of this year, the second meeting during the middle of the year, which still ran with the current numbers, not too significant difference so far as the current numbers in Parliament, if we were to use those as benchmark, then certainly we did not see too much of the majority side living to its promise of cooperation and collaboration. We saw quite a number of instances where even us as citizens were not fully involved in the whole parliamentary business, because a lot of things were just bulldozed through within a matter of days. There were some businesses in Parliament which were not necessarily advertised for proper citizens' participation, etc., etc. These are things that experience will show that you expect to see in a Parliament that has a particular side having a huge majority, and that side being the ruling government. But these are also things we must safeguard against. Citizens' participation is a crucial part of parliamentary work. Minority having their say in the work that gets done in Parliament is a crucial part of Parliament's work. And under no circumstances must we allow a democracy whereby sheer numbers, even the participation, the conversation, the involvement that must be had by those who find themselves in the minority, those of us who are citizens of Ghana, get thrown aside simply because there are numbers to rush things through. And so we'll be observing in this third meeting, and we hope that the majority in Parliament would have learned lessons from how the levies on fuel, which was rushed through, and yet implementation had to be, halted for some time because citizens now, came back to say that no, this is not what we voted for. Would serve as lessons for the majority to know that everyone must be involved in these processes. Then having the numbers alone doesn't mean that you can be able to bulldoze your way through. Governance and parliamentary work is about the citizens, it's about the people, and they've got to be involved every step of the way.
Certainly so. Thank you, Sami Obeng, for your time this evening.
Pleasure.
And we've been hearing the thoughts of the Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa, Sami Obeng. As Parliament has just resumed, we are looking for today's day one. We are looking forward to very interesting conversations and debate and counter debate, arguments here and there, and then some crucial bills that would also be laid before the House. And we'll be updating you as and when it does happen. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We will be right back with the latest in the world of business. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, Bank of Ghana deepens awareness on persistent financial sector fraud amid $99 million losses. We'll hear from Second Deputy Governor Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana is deepening awareness on financial sector fraud as new figures show losses of nearly 100 million cedis recorded in 2024. According to Second Deputy Governor Martin Asiedu-Dartey, a third of these cases involved staff of financial institutions, heightening concerns about internal lapses and weak oversight. She made the call at the 2025 Consumer Reporting Officers and Stakeholders Engagement held in Accra under the theme Excellence in Service, Innovation in Delivery, Security in Practice.
We know that digital transformation has greatly improved access and convenience, but also it has introduced risks in how we transact. And I think the fraud report, which I hope that you have read, shows us that 16,733 cases were recorded in 2024. That's 5% more than, again, what we had in 2023. And in terms of value at loss, we're talking about 99 million, almost 100 million cedis. So it's very important that we pay attention also. Perhaps the most challenging part is that 33% of that fraud was committed by staff. And this is very alarming, and it calls on all of us in compliance, not just in compliance, but even as supervisors, to pay attention, because it means that we have to be more intentional about vigilance, about ethics, about discipline, and have stronger internal controls.
And that was Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Meanwhile, Director of the Financial Stability Department, Dr. Kwesi Osei-Yeboah, urged consumer reporting officers and financial institutions to improve on their customer service delivery while ensuring tightened internal controls.
Innovation in delivery reminds us that the world of banking is evolving rapidly. The tools we use, the channels we operate through, and the speed at which customers interact with banking services continue to change. Embracing innovation while ensuring no one is left behind is essential to strengthening access and enhancing customer satisfaction. Security in practice is the foundation of customer confidence. Without robust protections for data and banking transactions, all other efforts are compromised. Our institutions must therefore embed security not as an afterthought, but as a core principle in every product or service we design and deliver.
Dr. Kwesi Osei-Yeboah is Director of the Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana. Before we go, the cedi has staged a remarkable comeback against the US dollar, recovering all the losses recorded in the third quarter of 2025. The rebound, fueled by new monetary and foreign exchange policy measures from the Bank of Ghana, has lifted the local currency's year-to-date appreciation to 37%. The following three business news desk report has the details. The Ghana cedi is back on a strong footing after a difficult third quarter. New data from Bloomberg and the World Bank show that the local currency, which depreciated by about 14% between July and September, has regained all its losses following a strong rally in October. According to commercial bank figures, the cedi's year-to-date appreciation now stands at 37%, meaning it gained roughly 16% in October alone. Within a single week from October 13 to 17, the cedi appreciated by about 9.5% against the US dollar, one of the sharpest weekly gains in recent memory. Market watchers say the rally reflects improved foreign exchange liquidity and stronger enforcement of forex regulations. The Bank of Ghana is said to have slowed its direct dollar interventions while revising its policy from weekly forex auctions to spot sales for commercial banks, a move the Ghana Association of Banks says has boosted market efficiency and restored confidence in the cedi. And that was a three business news desk report on the cedi raising third quarter losses at its rebound strongly in October 2025. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Sports is next, please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sifa Bamfo. Let's start off from the camp of the Black Queens, who are preparing to take on Egypt in the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations qualifiers on Thursday. The Queens, who finished the 2025 AFCON with a bronze medal, opened camp on Monday in Ismaila, Egypt, and now ahead of Ghana's game against Egypt on Thursday. Team officer Matilda Demedo says that the team is confident of securing a win against the Egyptians.
Performance in the just ended WAFCON. Even though we went on break for a while, most of these girls have been very active with their club side. Those who joined us yesterday, most of them had to play their game over the weekend before joining us, and so I can confidently tell you that the core of the team or the crux of the team we still have from the WAFCON, just a few that have joined us. I think about two new players that have joined in the likes of Abigail Apia and one other person. So I think with the squad that we have over here, the teamwork has always been there. They know themselves already. Only need one or a few training sessions to put things in place to face Egypt. Not to say we are looking down upon our opponent. We know they are also a good side. You know, the North Africans, they always come in very compact and then determined. But I can confidently tell you that judging from the squad that we have, the players that we have available, we can be able to surmount this task and qualify for the next WAFCON. That's what.
So that was Black Queens team media officer Matilda Demedo speaking. Let's turn attention from the Black Queens to the Black Stars, where Ghana defender Terry Yegbe has opened up on his move from Swedish side Elfsborg to Ligue 1 side Metz. How it transpired, Yegbe, who enjoys stints at Wafa and Vision FC, joined the Ligue 1 outfit for €3 million in the summer.
I had a chance to play almost every game. That was how Elfsborg came in. Then I moved to Elfsborg. My first year was okay. In Elfsborg, I don't think I have any challenges. Everything went quite well for me in Elfsborg first year. After 1 year, I got moved to the Premier League. Then I missed that move in January? Yeah, January. Then I need to focus on the season and all that and be thinking about the summer. That was how can this move happen in the summer.
So that was Mets defender Terry Yegbe speaking there. Now, finally, before we go, just by way of update in the UEFA Champions League, Barcelona are currently leading Olympiacos by 2-1. First half brace from Fermin Lopez sets the Blaugranes on their way to their second victory in the competition. But in the second half, Olympiacos equalized after 5 minutes into the second half. And bringing an end to a hot edition here on 3FM 92.7. Join us tomorrow for more updates and news.